If I type in opening ceremony, it'll show me.
To the Olympics?
I think so. If I could spell.
Can you?
I guess not. Opening ceremony. So it doesn't say what time it comes on. I just put it in Olympics. It gives me a bunch of other scheduling.
Well,
I don't know.
Better.
I'm not good at using that.
The MSNBC app?
No, that was just the Xfinity.
The Olympics app?
One. Yeah, they had one for Rio.
It makes sense.
And
I wouldn't be surprised.
had it on my phone because it had all the schedule of all the different events.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's part of the MSNBC app, and so when there's not Olympics, like, I bet it's in my previously downloaded. I know it's my previously downloaded apps because I had it during Rio. Are you gonna be okay?
I'm good. I just got hot Thai food boiling in my stomach. So if I leave during the middle of the podcast to go to the bathroom and leave you on the spotlight for a second, that's what happens. That's
I don't like it.
It doesn't matter if you like it or not. That's simply part of it.
Or you can see the reflection of the TV in my cup.
That's fair. I like it.
Yeah.
Makes me feel good.
Black Mirror.
That's what they were going for the whole time, and everybody's like reading into it.
My teacup.
Yeah, exactly. My television, my phone. No, just a really high gloss mug.
Shiny mug.
Yeah, that's too bad. So this is episode 2 of 2018, meaning that in like 5 weeks we've done 2 episodes.
Well, life happened, and it happened hard.
It happened daily.
No.
There's a couple days where nothing. Yeah, we went into
I stopped breathing.
Stasis.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been an interesting year.
Yeah.
So far.
Barely begun and still very.
It's been difficult. Yeah. The past couple weeks, especially last week. We actually weren't here last week. We were going to start back up, but due to the passing of one of our good friends. We postponed, so thank all you guys who watch and for understanding. It was a really sort of beautiful and enlightening experience getting a chance to be at his memorial this last Sunday, and getting a chance to be around a lot of people who were very kind and very loving and really offered a lot of solace and companionship. And in the face of everything, sort of the best case scenario and this worst case scenario is that it brings a community closer together, and it brings people closer together, and you get the opportunity to just be around people that want to see you grow and succeed. Mm-hmm. And so as hard as it was, as difficult as it was on Sunday, it was wonderful to be around people whose common bond was someone that they loved so much.
Just love.
That when they came together, it was nothing but love in the atmosphere. Absolutely nothing but. Yeah. So may you rest in peace, Matthew. One of the finest, kindest, most selfless people I've ever met. Yeah. Thank you for being part of my life. I'm going to get teary here, so we should talk about other things. But, as far as the topic today, it was going to be kind of freeform. There's a lot of stuff we'd sort of been discussing over the past couple weeks, and it sort of shifted, and, social concepts have sort of ebbed and flowed, and what we were willing to talk about 3 weeks ago, it's not that we don't want to, but it's, like there's new things on the horizon. There's things that have happened, and there's, new things to discuss. And so
we had like a solid topic idea 3 weeks ago, and then life got in the way.
Yeah, a lot of things happened, and I actually sort of forgot where I was mentally at that point with exactly what we were going to talk about.
I remember, but I don't know like what the appropriateness is of bringing it up now.
I think it's all appropriate at this point. If it's something that you feel we can talk about, or if somebody else has anything that they want to discuss.
I think it's still relevant, but I also, I think about the last week, and there was a lot of emotions were very high, and a lot of sort of life lessons and learning in a short period of time.
Sure.
I feel that also might take precedence of the other issue was.
That's true.
Maybe easier to shelf.
Yeah, and one thing that I think we can almost always consistently discuss is death. Yeah. And this is very pertinent right now for us and, our friend. And one of the most important parts, and I wrote a whole thing about this on Facebook and to sort of get the message out, but one of the most wonderful things that I got to experience when visiting him in the hospital last week, and this is just 2 days before he passed away, is I just said, how are you? How do you feel? And the best answer I could have gotten is something that he gave, where he said, I'm at peace. I've made peace with everything. And most importantly, I have no regrets. I love you guys so much and I don't regret a thing. And it was very, relieving to hear that. I think more than anything, the people who were going to continue living needed that, needed to know that, because we're the ones who are going to have a difficult time. He's no longer in pain. He was in a tremendous amount of pain and exhausted and lack of energy because his cancer had gotten so bad that it was nice to know that, like, the only person who wasn't truly scared was him, and that everything else was what we had to resolve.
Yeah.
And there's a sort of peace in that.
Grief is for the survivors.
Right. Yeah, death is hardest on the living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But and a lot of great quotes and stuff thrown on this weekend. Don't be sad because it's gone. Be happy that it happened. Or what did the Dr. Seuss quote that I misquoted? But what I'm saying. So it's my quote now. I stole it, and
you said it,
and I improved it.
You did something to it. You know what I've been thinking about, actually, and I think I mentioned it yesterday when Becca was over. What Buck said at the wedding about the wedding. It's not a wedding. The funeral.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's that's okay.
About no matter how long you knew Matt, it was long enough. It made me really think about how some of the impermanence of situations that we have.
Sure.
That we may want to say oh, it wasn't long. It wasn't. I wish I'd had more time. Or because he said, I don't want to hear anybody say, I wish I'd had longer. I wish I'd known it better. He doesn't want to hear anything say that, because what you had was exactly what it was supposed to be. We had the appropriate amount of time, the exact amount of time that was necessary. And I think about that mentality applying to so many things in our life. Sometimes we have something for just a period of time, not just life, but someone maybe comes into our life, or what our friendships or relationships, or a number of things, and they come, and if they go, it's okay because it lasted as long as it was supposed to. That is correct. Yeah. And it doesn't take away any of the good or the happiness or the meaning that it meant to you while it was happening, just because it's over. Yeah, because it wasn't as long as we would have liked. And longevity is easily misconstrued for being the value of something instead of the content and the quality and the fullness of it. And it's very easy, even in relationships. I think there's a lot of people who will say, I've been with this person so long, I should continue it, even if it's not good for me, simply because you've invested so much time. You think that the amount of time is the value. Yeah. Rather than the quality of the content. Yeah. So what's the topic for today? Kind of free form. I know death is sort of at the forefront right now, but we can talk about literally anything. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions. Good evening from Rick and Emily. Hello, Rick. Hello, Emily. And River St. Gray. Talk about if immortality would be good or bad. Bad for humanity. I think knowing that you cannot die would cause a lot of. Well, I think even less than that, because thousands of years into human existence, knowing that you can't die, I think would lead to sort of a stagnation, a lack of desire to. A complacency. Yeah, complacency. Sure. Yeah, I think. Yeah. A lot of what makes life so important is that it's temporary. A lot of what makes our gives us drive or gives us want to go on is because we know we only have a short period of time with which to accomplish things. Sure, and especially wanting to make something for future generations. Yeah. Yeah, investing for people that will be there after you're gone. Yeah, I think that the finite aspect of life is what makes life worth living, is that it ends. Yeah, and then we have imagine an immortal Hitler. Yeah, because that's the other thing, is because all the bad people also can't die. Right. Not that I ever wish death on anyone. That's not how I work. Sure, but the people that have others not best interest in mind, noun phrase, it would be the people at the forefront of doing the bad things. It would be so much effort to try to counter that all the time that nothing good would get done. It would just be a battle of stopping somebody instead of progressing. Yeah. I think it would really shift our ideas about what good and evil meant. That's fair. Yeah. Because I think as far as absolute morality is concerned, a lot of the big moral truths that people accept have to do with causing harm to people. Sure. Or death or sort of to people. And I wonder how much that would shift if no one could die.
So if you couldn't die, what could the bad people do to you?
Oh, then you can hurt people and it'd still be alive.
I guess you can just torture them.
In fact,
So
that's
I wonder in
feel
terms
like death
of
is maybe even like
that's true.
a soft
It's probably a better release. Yeah. So I mean, if you're immortal, is it that you could basically be like at the 99.9% of death, but you just wouldn't fall over the edge? You could still go into comas. You could still get your head chopped off, but live from it. Like, what does it entail? Do you have like invincible skin to where you cannot literally be harmed?
You're a hydra.
You know, so basically, yeah, people become mutants. So torture. Okay. So I mean, okay, so the immortality is straight. You cannot die, but you can still experience every spectrum of all of it until that point. Okay. Okay.
Fear.
That would also be so populated that this planet would be a nightmare. We'd hopefully try to get
too
off.
Many people on this planet.
Yeah, and this is well after most people in our history have died. So.
Well, I wonder if they're like, I don't know how that would work. Like, can you not procreate, or like, what does an immortal race on Earth look like?
There's a lot of questions. It's sort of like when people bring up zombies. There's so many like, catches that like, what entails this concept, and most of it can't really be described because it's so sort of loosely defined. Mm-hmm. Immortality, that's complicated. Yeah.
And it's weird to me because never in my life have I ever I've gone through that phase of like, I don't want to die. I'm afraid of dying. Like, I never had that, even growing up, where I was like sort of fascinated with the idea of not dying. In fact, I went through a phase when I was a lot younger where I was very fascinated with the idea of immortality, but being detrimental and problematic. And like, I would think about it and I would think about all the reasons why that'd be like more of a curse than a blessing. And that was like, if I was ever thinking about immortality, it was always in sort of like a oh no kind of sense. Like, that'd be really bad to have that happen.
What if you got launched into the sun? I see where you're going. We're on very different paths with this whole thing.
That's how we always are.
Yeah, exactly. I sort of think it would be an existential hell after a point where you wouldn't die. You'd slowly accumulate so much grief that I'm not sure it'd be bearable. That's also true.
Yeah, that's what I think about. Like, you know that Queen song, Who Wants to Live Forever?
Yeah.
I think about that. Like, nobody does. You know?
So do you actually remember the CG movie TMNT? No, TMNT. It was the 2008 Turtles animated movie.
No, I never saw that.
You did with me. But...
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you certainly did.
I did. I forgot about it because I didn't really like it. So.
But the main character is a man who actually was immortal, and he lived through, like, time period after time period after time period from the ancient times.
Like, he wanted to die.
And ultimately, the reason he ended up unleashing these creatures on Earth was so the turtles could gather them, point them in the right direction so that it would make him mortal again, so that he actually could die, because he was like, this is a curse. There's nothing worse than this. This is my...
Like Highlander.
Yeah, except for you can cut off their heads and they do die.
Yeah, unless there's only one and he experiences
and you become more powerful. Yeah, that's true. I would not want to be immortal either. It would be, I think, too much. And I think our souls are honestly only ready for, like, such a finite amount ultimately.
I think it makes us better when we know that life is temporary.
Yeah.
I think even back in the wake of the stuff that happened last week and losing Matt, there was a lot of that sensation of, oh, life is so special. Like, we need to treasure, be better to people, be kind to people, treasure what you have.
Yeah, don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
But also, I think what was really interesting, too, is that, like, watching Matt in the hospital and just sort of seeing him and hearing him, like, say those things, it made me fear death less. I don't really fear death very much, but I think there was sort of a comfort in knowing that if he can do it, absolutely I can do it. Like, he's one of the strongest people I know, and if he is okay with it, I would be.
You said something to me, I feel like that Tuesday, about the strength of people's souls when they get it to a certain point.
Yeah.
And that it's maybe too hard for us, but his soul is strong enough.
Strong enough and resilient enough to where it wasn't even like, don't worry about me. He just said, I'll be okay. I will be okay. And it was
he said, I don't want you to worry so many times. Don't be worried. Don't worry about it. You should worry.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. But it was really a beautiful thing to see so many people there, in support of him. I mean, it was a huge gathering of people, and we went down to the West Side store, which is where I started off sort of like my second store with my friend Buckley, and Matthew were sort of business partners together. And so he was very much a part of Gamers Anonymous for 7 years. And so he is unmistakably just as much of the store as anything I've done or put in myself, because not only did he do a lot of technical work helping us set up, but he was there as a presence, as a community figure, as somebody who helped us run events, as somebody who gave valuable input. And So being down at the store, like it's amazing just how much of a tangible percentage of that shop that he existed as.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at Dracula from Castlevania. He despises his immortality because he saw so many cruel acts of nature and he wanted to stop feeling pain once and for all. That's true, basically.
I feel like that's a running thread with like immortal characters in media or representation is that like, at a certain point they're done.
Final Fantasy 15, we actually have to go through that at some point. It's a little ways out there, but it also deals with the same kind of concept.
Yeah, I think that's really, I can't actually think of really any references to like human immortality or something of that ilk in some kind of storytelling that doesn't address it being a problem.
Sure. Yeah. Although triumphant death might be more prevalent. If you feel you've done what you were alive to accomplish and finally reach a point of not wanting to be anymore, you could die with a sort of joy.
Yes.
Like a satisfaction of saying, I've done what I was here to do.
Yeah, that's what we, in many ways, we saw with Matt.
With Matt, absolutely. No regrets.
Ready, he was happy.
He was ready. Absolutely. I wouldn't want to be immortal. Think about the age of Adeline in the movie. She didn't want to be immortal. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, might be something to check out. But immortality is a scary concept. Yeah. And as much as we'd like to think, sometimes sort of like as like a one-off, like, oh, it'd be so nice to be able to do this and that and the other thing, the ultimate price you pay is so much worse than death.
Yeah.
It is so much worse than that. It would tear your soul apart, I think.
Yeah, I think it's hard enough in a finite life to find meaning or purpose that if you have forever, what would you do? Everybody has
questionably worse. Yeah, everybody. And everybody has
not
different.
Just you're special. And maybe in that one case, somebody could make something with their life. But if the whole race had it.
Yeah. Could you still go into a coma? Because, like, I want to know. There's so many things I want to know about this immortality.
Yeah, I think you can in our lore. We're creating.
Okay. So ultimately, I mean.
Yeah, you could just be. We
don't really die. Everybody just becomes vegetables.
Yeah, we had a whole planet full of vegetables, and then God would have to send a thunderbolt, and we'd all fry.
But we wouldn't die from it.
No, I mean he could make us mortal. If I think that an immortal person dies from like a god metaphorical thunderbolt.
Or just shooting you into the sun.
Yeah.
Like you have a boating accident that's very extreme.
Oh, you know what sucks?
Yeah.
Because if it's like where you're immortal because if something happens to you, you immediately regenerate. And so somebody shoots you into the sun and you regenerate in the sun and you die and you regenerate and you
That's
die.
What I'm thinking, yeah, because going into the sun, you just be burning forever in the hottest heat you ever experienced.
Yeah, when you asked like what could they still do?
This is 100 times worse than being in a hot car in the summer with the windows up and the AC or the heater on. That's way worse. Going to the sun. In Phoenix. Phoenix is pretty bad.
I melted a hairbrush once.
I almost melted myself.
To the dashboard.
I bet. I absolutely bet. Like,
and I think because it was coming through the glass, and so it made it.
That's fair. Magnifies it, yeah.
And it wasn't like it was a puddle. It was just sort of like stuck to the dashboard.
Scary. Yeah. Great movie. You two should watch it together. She had to keep running to hide her immortality. She avoided relationships because everyone else kept getting older and would get suspicious.
Yeah, I think you'd have to kind of hide. If you were just like one person, you'd have to have a really transient life. Or exist in such a way that you're like some mystical thing and people can know about you that way. Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting thing to think about, though. And I think it's actually kind of nice to sort of realize that the fact that we are blessed with a limited time here on Earth is actually really nice. It is a blessing. Because I feel like it's at least there's conclusion, and it would be really nightmarish to go on for too long. Sounds a bit like the Maisie Williams story arc in Doctor Who. That's... You might... I don't even know. Oh, yeah. I've seen the first, like... It took me a second. I was like, wait, 4 episodes, I think? Yeah. Okay. So, I am trying to recall. I think I know what you're talking about. It's like in the one of the... Not the newest one. Well, maybe I haven't seen it. But like the really, really recent seasons, they introduce a character that can't die. And the Doctor keeps... running into her many times, and she gets crazy. Oh, like, good. By the end, like, okay. But sort of an interesting. It's a really good storytelling. Okay. Yeah. Well, so far, Doctor Who, the 1/18 billionth of it that I've seen. Yeah, you've seen like 4 episodes. Correct. Yeah, the first. Of season 9. Yeah. Or not season 9, but the 9th Doctor. So season 1 of new. Season 1 reboot. Of like season more modern, 50 or something. And so far it's pretty good. Yeah. But we watched it like 7 months ago. It's been a while since we've seen it. Yeah, we did. So we should watch an episode. Sure, I dig it. It's good. I dig it. She was super resentful of him for making her immortal. I can imagine. Like, there's a huge clash at like the last episode I saw. Actually, that makes sense. I would be actually very upset
Very upset.
And he didn't do it on purpose. Like as I recall, it was he was trying to save her life, and the only way he could do that ultimately made her immortal. And she
could you get like your skin boiled off and like stripped to the bone? Like what entails you being alive? All your organs removed and thrown around the room? Like
I think it would like boil you down to what maybe we would learn a way like what is the essence of humanity? Where in what we are do we exist? You know, because I've always subscribed to the idea that like we are a soul and we have a body.
Right.
And if that were the case, would we just be a bunch of like floating orbs on the planet eventually? I don't know, you know.
Can you see the orbs?
Maybe not.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
Like we are our consciousness.
Yeah. Could you wither away? Could you just not eat ever again? I mean, you'd probably be very weak and your body would still need something, but you could still technically just sort of sit there miserably.
You know,
like,
speaking of
rotting.
Doctor Who, and I think about like episodes you've seen actually, the lady that's all skin, she's all flesh.
Oh yeah, from
Cassandra.
Texas.
Yeah, from Texas.
yeah.
Like you could just turn into something like that because you could just fuck with.
You're not going to die. You might as well do it.
Die.
Yeah, just turn into a blanket. Okay. That's kind of a neat
But
idea.
I think though it would like distill somewhere the essence of what you are as a person, or what are we as humans.
So here's a question then: is do you think being immortal would diminish the concept of love?
Okay, so Robert Heinlein wrote a book called Time Enough for Love, where he talks all about that actually.
Okay.
And it's really good.
Okay.
It's a really good book. Like, and that's all I want to really say in that sense is I want you should read it. Actually, we have it on the shelf. Whereas this what he talks about, and I'm going to badly quote this because it was so many years ago.
I'm good at badly quoting, so I understand. Yeah, I empathize.
He says, you know, if there was time enough, could you love everyone on the planet? You know.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm not saying very well. Like, how could you love, and how would you love if there was time enough to do so?
If you could theoretically do it,
yeah.
Because I think what makes love so important and so special is that like limited by death, but the fact that we've also had so much life before this love that happens that we're still just getting a chunk of somebody else's time, and at any point, you know, whether you leave or they leave. Through whatever means, death or you know, just separation or whatever it is, it's still like there's a point of beginning and end, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so, is that what makes it so special? Yeah, I don't know. That's something to think about, because if you could just love anybody you want given enough time, would it make the love special? Would it be a genuine kind of love? What would vying for it so much?
And if you had enough time that you could love, really love, and even the way that we think about it, like everyone, how would that change your perception of relationships, or like what you thought humanity was, or the point of it all?
Right. People who are organ donors are physically kept alive in order to keep the organs viable to transplant.
Like they keep all of their vitals functioning.
Donor organs are harvested while still physically alive. Yeah.
So it's proof that we're not our bodies, because they're brain dead, I guess, at that point in time.
Sure.
The person is gone. Whoever you are is gone. Your consciousness is gone.
It's simply the
vessel.
But they
can like use a machine to keep your heart.
Chicken head cut off.
Yeah, but they don't live that long afterwards.
Yeah, 60, 70 years.
No.
Chicken years. Which is probably like a couple minutes for us.
Yeah.
Right. Oddly, some of the times I feel closest to my girlfriend are when I'm having anxious daydreams about the day one of us dies.
Yeah, because you realize that's bad to agree with, but like you realize how important the time you have is, because it's final. Like
it's
there's
limited.
A time when it will stop.
Yeah. Whether you cease before them or they cease before you, at some point it draws to a close.
Yeah.
And there's no exception to that. It is simply the way of it. In some capacity, it will end.
Yeah, and it can be varying degrees of difficult for people. I know when my grandfather passed away, my papa, my gram struggled for years with how, like, without him, kind of, you know, they were married for 60 years. And she just...
Well, they become such a routine part of your life, especially after that long, that, like, when suddenly that's gone, like, your dynamic changes.
Morbid thing. And I remember the first time she showed it to me, I think I was in my 20s, early 20s, and my grandfather died when I was young. Not super young, but a lot younger, you know, barely into double digits. And she had kept a photo album with pictures of his corpse in it, like from the funeral. And she would just look at them all the time. And when she showed this to me the first time, I was like, I don't want to see dead Papa.
Yeah.
Like, it was, but she didn't, and it was like a ritual for her. Like she had multiple booklets of photographs that she had like compiled like a timeline of his life and their life together up until the day that he died.
Yeah.
And she would just look at them because she missed him so much, or that she would constantly think about when it was her time to go meet him. And so honestly, and not to say that I wasn't really sad when my gram died last year, but I remember very distinctly, like my mom even, like the very first things that we said was, oh, she's with Papa now. Like she had made it so clear through the last few years of her life that was all she thought about.
That was her goal.
That when she finally passed, it was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And there was like a comfort because even I really believed in that moment.
She is fine being gone because she's elsewhere where she wants to be.
Yeah.
Instead of almost being stuck here until it is done. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
There's a scary aspect to love in that it can compel a sort of obsession or rumination. Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder too, because like after a certain point of being with someone your whole life, they become a part of your identity.
Yeah.
And when they go, and it's like taking in many ways a part of you with them.
Yeah.
Like part of you dies as well. And I even not just somebody that you've been with, you know, like a romantic partner you've been with forever, but I think love looks like many different things, you know, that we truly love many different kinds of people, not all of which are romantic. And when you lose someone that you love, it takes part of you with it. And we said before that like that's what grief actually is.
Sure.
Grief is love.
Yeah.
And it's shown because of.
Well, there's like a direct correlation.
Yes.
Yeah, the more you love, the harder the grief.
Yeah.
It's really like this extreme balance. Yeah, loss is interesting because
it's like when your love no longer has a place to go.
Right.
That's when what grief becomes.
Right.
It's
you
just
simply express it differently.
Overwhelming capacity for that same amount of love and no one to give it to anymore.
Sure.
Like, and it's like it has nowhere to end up.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a fuzz flying around.
Like a policeman?
When have I ever referred to the policeman as fuzz?
Just now.
No,
weird.
it's like a piece of probably cat hair.
Oh.
I don't know why we'd have that in our home.
I don't know why we have police in our home either. Yeah. The opposite of love is not hate. It is indifference. I often, cite love and apathy, love and fear, honestly, at like
I think
opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, fear is the opposite of love, not hate. Because hate, and we've said this before, hate cannot exist without the presence of love.
Right.
Hate and love are
they're intertwined. Yeah.
You can't hate someone that you have never loved. Like that's or in some capacity. I'm not saying like that you've been in love with or whatever, but like in some capacity that you've attached a form of love to, you can't hate someone unless you've had that. But you can be afraid of a number of things.
Yeah.
And I think fear, some of the things that we associate with as hate, I think are actually fear that we're not correctly naming it.
And we don't understand it, so we've chosen to fear it instead of love it.
Yeah.
On a neurological level, your brain is no longer reacting to the existence of someone day in and day out, so you almost start a withdrawal from their presence. Absolutely. Also, sorry for all the comments. Can I chat right now?
No, chatty is good.
Please. Yeah, it actually is better for us, so that way we don't just sit here and
go,
oh. It's nice to have like a good active conversation. Yeah. Please, by all means, contribute, talk, anything you want, word diarrhea, the whole thing. I like having an active conversation.
Yeah, me too. I agree with the fear bit, and that's because and I think that I've heard a lot of people say that over time, that the opposite of love is fear. Like that's very much.
Yeah. Because the more you truly understand something, the more you can love it. The more capable you are of loving something by genuinely taking the time to understand even a differing perspective. At least if you're listening to understand where the perspective even grows from, you can learn to love. Because if you're getting somebody's perspective, it's also ideally genuine in nature, even if it might be misguided or harmful. If it's genuinely coming from somebody, you can love that because you love what is true. You love what is genuine. You're capable of it. But when we don't understand things, when we're confused by things, we have a tendency to fear or push it away because we don't know where it is or why it is or how it is. And it becomes something we sort of resent, and we keep it at arm's length because of fear. We're afraid of what it might be.
Yeah.
I think anyway. I
think that's true. I think ultimately what, like you're saying, is fear is a lack of understanding.
Yeah.
But I think there are some things that you can understand and still be afraid of.
I think that's fair too. I think there's like maybe like an appropriate kind of fear or respect, I suppose, for certain things.
A healthy respect.
A healthy respect might be a good way to.
A fearful respect.
Right.
So maybe, and I don't know that we have a word for this in the English language. That there's a difference in like guttural, sort of visceral fear. Like I'm afraid of volcanoes, even though I know I'm not gonna. You know, it's dumb,
sure,
but,
no, that's fine.
Like, but
that's
also in the presence of an active volcano, that would scare the shit out of me. Like that's reasonably scary, and I understand it.
Yeah,
I understand volcanoes. I know what they are and why I shouldn't have to worry about them living here, and I don't have to worry about them. Except sometimes I think about those things, you know, whatever. But
that's fair. Yeah.
But on the whole, like, and that's not completely rational. But like, even as like, if I really try to make myself be rational about it, I know that if I were around an erupting volcano, that would scare the shit out of me, and I don't think that that's quite the same kind of fear as exists when we talk about something like. I don't know, xenophobia or something where you're afraid of what you don't understand.
Sure, yeah.
Like, and because you don't understand, and that if only you knew, it would take the fear away.
Right.
Not everything, I think, applies to that.
I think that's fair. I think it's also good to know that when you understand something, you respect it enough to know where you should stand reasonably within proximity to it, mentally or emotionally or physically or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Also, even if you oppose something, understanding it enables you to have patience and affection towards it, like Republicans.
It's true, though. It's actually, we were just talking about that earlier tonight, about healthy political respect.
Healthy political respect. I think it's very good to, at times, if you have the opportunity to take the time to understand somebody's perspective genuinely, to really listen. You don't have to agree. You don't have to, enforce or advocate, but to understand that somebody has a perspective because they have an experience, they have an upbringing, they have a growth, they have a surrounding or a presence that you might not.
Yeah.
Taking the time to listen and understand them, it doesn't necessarily, it enables you to have a more productive conversation, a more productive discussion. And that's what we need, because the moment we disagree with somebody, we tend to just want to say, well, you suck or you're wrong or this or that, and oppose and just push, as opposed to listening. Because if you listen and understand, you can better discuss with it. You can better explain your point of view because you're getting...
You can also understand how it relates to what you think. And,
sure.
And in what ways that it is valid and in what ways you may understand it later to not.
Yeah.
But unless you have a good, healthy understanding of things, you shouldn't talk.
But,
like... don't look at me.
Jennifer says, no matter how... some things, no matter how much you understand, fear is absolutely appropriate.
Yeah.
Fear is not, and then
you're never not going to convince me not to be afraid of dinosaurs, and I realize that they do not exist. But if in some weird, crazy world we bring them back like Jurassic Park or some shit, I'm going to be scared.
And well, also because
they could eat you.
And there's several factors that go into this, and the fact that we are not like this utopian mentality concept where we can simply say, okay, this applies and done. Yeah. We're still very human. We're still very fallible.
I know.
So we all have these
conditions
and phobias that, while theoretically they don't make sense on a level of individual basis, absolutely.
You know what really freaks me out? And I've gotten a lot better about it over the years as
far
as fear of things.
Yeah.
And I used to, it still, I think, is something that's very unsettling to me, but I don't.
The end of you? Yeah.
Yeah, Jen is judging me. She says, "Dinosaurs really, Ariel? LOL, I want a pet dinosaur. I do not. I don't want anywhere near your pet dinosaur."
Okay, if there was one
and
dinosaur,
I don't want it anywhere near me.
Are all dinosaurs off the table, or is there one
They're all off the table.
Even just an herbivore or something?
Yeah, no, it could still fuck you up. Rhinos and hippos are herbivores, and hippos are dangerous fuckers.
You like cats?
Yeah.
Our cats, pound for pound, do more destructive things to us.
But they can't eat me. They can't snap me in half with their jaw.
A lion.
Yeah, I don't want to be around a lion. I want to see him from a safe distance. Far away, on the TV.
Okay. Only on television. You don't even want to go to the zoo.
Well, I think I have mixed feelings about
mammoths.
Zoos.
Gotta love them.
No.
Why not a mammoth? It's like a big hairy elephant.
I don't want to. I don't think have big.
Just because that exists doesn't mean they're... That's I
don't want to be around it. That's, I understand that it poses a clear and present danger to my life.
A theoretical danger that might be unfounded. You say you
I don't want to hang out around hippos.
Listen, why? They're cute.
They're also the most dangerous animal on the planet.
Just don't do anything.
That's African water buffalo.
Just don't do anything to me. Any animal can kill you. Our cats can kill us. They don't.
Revolver thinks about it.
She does. I promise you she does. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say though? Oh yeah, so I used to have this really, really
let's give everyone giant cheetahs. I'd be so in. Yeah.
I keep getting distracted, but I had a series of dreams like 6 years ago where I had a pet tiger, and like it was the same in like all these dreams, and I for a couple of week period I was like into the idea of having a pet giant cat, a tiger.
That'd be fun. Having a tiger, like Scarface.
But then I realized that like they're not domesticated. Like they're always going to be dangerous.
Domesticate one. It takes exactly. Dire cheetahs.
That's
cheetah.
Scary.
That'd be so cool. You can kick a cheetah in half. Those things are made out of wire.
No.
Yeah, those things.
No, they're all muscle, is what it is. They're made out of all muscle.
They're lean muscle, though.
All not muscle.
All delicious.
Not muscle.
All candy.
Yeah.
Cheetah candy.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're going back on track with dinosaurs. Okay.
Oh, back to dinosaurs.
Back to dinosaurs. You liked Jurassic World.
Yeah.
That's the only Jurassic Park movie where they train a dinosaur.
People watch horror movies.
He trains a dinosaur. He's got a pet dinosaur. It's the only Jurassic Park movie where they train a dinosaur.
Yeah, and it still betrayed him. It came back, but that doesn't matter because it could have killed him in that meantime when it didn't know what it thought.
So are you. But you like that movie, and he does the thing.
Yeah, people like scary movies. You can't judge me for liking something that I am afraid of.
Did you like it?
The movie?
Yeah. Yeah,
I like them, but they give me nightmares.
Do you think it's just because you don't understand them?
Oh my god! No, I do. I have the dreams like where I'm stuck in a building or like on campus at school or something, and then dinosaurs get loose, and like I think the fear is actually probably something else that dinosaurs are just sort of replacing.
I guarantee
the fear
that.
of not being able to get away from something big and scary with massive teeth trying to get you, and like the dreams center on like trying to hide or get into high places. They can still see you and they can smell you, and dinosaurs are always the vehicle with which I have that nightmare.
Okay, that's fair.
So I don't like it. It's scary. But, no, okay, so I used to have documentary Taki's Tale. It's a great story about two cheetah.
I'll watch it, I'll cry.
You know what's going to happen is we're going to sit on the couch and we're going to be like, oh no, baby.
Yeah, we're just going to talk to them like they're right there and our pets.
Making stupid sounds.
Yeah, that's what I do.
No, I've never seen Land of the Lost.
Land of the Lost.
I don't know what it is. Dinosaurs, I'm assuming?
I mean, they're in it, but yeah. It's like going back to like.
Okay, no. So what I keep trying to say, and I get distracted, is
sorry.
I had, like this fear for a long time, that's turned now. The more I try to understand it into like a sort of a moderate discomfort of spirals, and I spent so much of my youth like actively trying to avoid them and being really terrified of them, like.
The actual like symbol.
Yeah, you could not do that. That'd be cool. But yeah, like it was. Yeah, and I try really hard to rein it in.
Are you still like?
Yeah, they make me really uncomfortable, and I think it has something to do with like the idea of being pulled into something or things that sort of come. They're not in your control.
It's like those crazy like X-ray glasses.
No, I hate it. And people that were like knew me when I was a lot younger are very aware that like I actively tried to avoid anything that had to do with spirals.
So a dinosaur with like a spiral pattern on it is no good. That spews lava.
All the things I don't like.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario. Okay.
From the Japanese movie. I don't know what that means.
Taki's Tale?
Is Taki's Tale a Japanese movie?
I don't know.
Could be. 2 cheetah cubs in Japan.
That's cute.
I don't think they have wild cheetahs there, so they'd be in like a zoo.
I don't remember. Maybe it's a Japanese movie. I don't know. Don't watch 3.14 Pi.
Well, I don't know what that is. Is that a film?
It's an eternal number.
Jonathan.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Okay. What is it about?
Spiral dinosaurs. Lava breath.
I don't think so. Oh, though, and I think a lot of this like does stem from like media that I watched when I was little, because my parents had me watch Jurassic Park when I was insanely little, and it scared the tar out of me because my older sister was really into dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And so they took us both, and then I was like, I'm gonna go eat T-Rex tonight, because I was 4 years younger than her. Like I was not prepared. She was 9.
Aronofsky film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And my parents also had us watch. We went to go see Mount St. Helens, or no? Is it called Mount St. Helens? No.
The movie?
Yeah, there's a movie.
Dante's Peak?
Dante's Peak.
Oh, that movie sucked.
Yeah, and it scared the shit out of me. Like the scene when the old woman is like dying in the acid
water. Yeah.
Like, that's my grandma. Like I don't think I could ever watch that movie as an adult and not just be like residually afraid from what I was afraid of as a child. That movie messed me up. Like it really.
Would you watch it with me?
I would.
To maybe see if we could.
It'll make me cry.
To see if we could overcome.
It will make me cry.
Okay. So are fire-breathing dragons like not good?
That's different. Because I think dragons are in most like dragon lore. Dragons are really smart. It's about spirals, yeah, and God. Yeah. No, see, I don't want anything to do with that because I think in my head I always thought they were sort of connected. There's something like weird and like divinely present. My hair keeps getting in my face. Like about spirals. Like something about them seemed like they pulled or led to something. And they were like I just. Yeah, it traumatized me. That scene. It's not Betty White. I don't think
it's not. It's
like somebody that looks a lot like her. Yeah, somebody that looks like a generic white grandmother.
I was gonna say. I remember her being unbelievably unremarkable.
Well, but very related. Like very, if you have your old white granny, then that's your grandma, and she died in an acid mountain dying. It was bad. Yeah, it messed me up. So I am really like freaked out by the idea of like a volcanic eruption that you're not expecting, because that's the whole thing with Mount St. Helens. Is it like nobody was expecting it, and all like rationality said that everybody was going to be safe, but then they weren't, and a whole bunch of people died. I bet all the 2012ers were like, you know what, called it. Weird. Yeah. And then I think about that, like while it is statistically unlikely, and it's not like it's present in my mind. I'm not always thinking about volcanoes, but like something will happen, or someone will like mention the sleeping sister or something, and I'm like. Okay, so this actually, just out of curiosity, if I'm playing like a game like Mario and there's like a lava level. Yeah, I don't care. Okay, so video game is fine. Yeah, no, it's not real. I think my like what fear I have is based entirely on like the actuality of volcanoes. The actuality of a volcano. That's fair. Okay. Like I'm not afraid of a cartoon, and I'm not afraid of like a cartoon dinosaur. The fear that I have is entirely based on like I love Yoshi. Is he a dinosaur? Yeah. Oh, like not lizard. I guess he's a dinosaur. Whatever. Like it's based on actuality though. Okay. Like the possibility that it could actually happen. And that's what scares me. Not like movies are movies. That's why you can watch horror movies and not be like incapable for the rest of your life because it's fake. It's not real, yeah. Yeah. The tiniest thing or detail makes the biggest impact in dreams, I've found. Oh yeah, and I have vivid dreams every night. I'm a vivid dreamer. Like I constantly have really, really potent dreams, and that also causes me to have really potent nightmares. And we were talking about this actually. Yeah, yeah. The memorial. Right. Yeah, I have nightmares a lot, and I have very potent ones. So there's also like what Nessa, like for you, like what are some that also may have like stood out to you as being like really? Yeah, pretty much anything I am experiencing in my day-to-day will show up in my dreams in some form or another. Like when this is just to help so like when we were playing through Metal Gear a lot, I was constantly having dreams of like people with guns and shooting and like army sort of stuff. Like that was like permeating the way in which I would have kind of a dream or a nightmare. Sure. And I think what like the dialing it down when I have like nightmares to what exactly is it my brain is trying to tell me I'm afraid of often comes back to like a lack of control or feeling like something you expect to have happen isn't going to happen. I see. Because I think I told you the other day, like I was having a dream kind of like on Metal Gear, and I like had a tranquilizer gun, and I kept shooting the people that were coming after me, and it wouldn't hit, like, or it wouldn't shoot. Like it was like it wasn't happening. It was like jammed. Yeah, and it wouldn't. I couldn't stop them like from coming to get me. And it was like I think that's more like what my fear often is. And even in like dinosaur dreams, it's like the fear of not being able to get away from something that's trying to get you. You're afraid of your gun jamming in the middle of the fight because you bought a Chinese revolver that is used for show. The decoration. It's plastic and it has an orange tip. Yeah, exactly. That's a dart gun, Ariel. That is not going to help you. I don't know how to fight off armies. And so in my dream, I think that lack of knowledge comes out. You watched me do it for like 20-something hours. In a video game, not in real life. Like in the dream, I can talk. It's not like you're playing a game. It's like actually happening around you. In my dream, it was also very Metal Gear related. I was just Fultoning soldiers back to the base, just people, just attaching balloons to them and launching them off to their new house.
Nessa says, for example, I saw a brown snake in class one day, and a few nights later, it was a huge snake in my backyard chasing me.
Yeah, so just like things
So
that you
small.
see in your daily life show up in your dreams, and that's definitely true for me. Like things I'm thinking about, stuff I'm listening to, media I'm watching, or associating with conversations I have with people, stuff that's in the news.
I know something that recently, I mean, there's sort of like been like an era of depression due to a lot of dreams that you've been having.
Yeah.
And I see, since I have a lot of like very vivid dreams I don't remember, but I remember having vivid dreams, but I rarely have nightmares. And you definitely are sort of like more attuned to that. Whatever's going on sort of socially, you pick up on, and it transfers.
The very beginning of the Me Too movement, I was
that's right.
I could not sleep.
Yeah.
I was having horrible nightmares all the time, and it was causing me to be really dysfunctional as a person.
Yeah, and that was very much a lot about your Me Too story, which you finally like sort of put out there a month ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a month ago. Oh. Yeah, and I think that. Oh man, yes, I have a recurrent nightmare. And if Riverside Gray is who I think it is, I think you actually know about this. I think I told you once. And I have this recurring nightmare about a maze. And all the time it shows, I have this dream a lot actually, over a number of years and very often. And here in the dream, like it's like the dreams actually can be about all sorts of things, but there's this presence in a sense that like is this maze that shows up, and sometimes it's blocking somewhere I need to go, or I have no choice but to go in, or something about the plot of the dream makes it so I have to be in and around, and if nothing, or even going inside the maze. And when I first had that dream, like it was not so bad. It was kind of spooky, scary. Like the maze is sentient and like trying to get you, and like you're only safe outside of it or in the center, but you have to get through, of course, because it's like in the way of something. And then every time that you go back in the maze, like the amount of which like it learns about you, and it learns about like what you're afraid of and how, and it can magnify like it's like malice trying to get to you and how it will scare you or harm you, like double each time. And every time you have to go through the maze or go even just inside, like it gets worse and worse and worse. And I remember there for a while I was having like that like maze type dreams almost every night for like 2 weeks, and I'm like, I'm at like 20, it's gonna kill me if I have to go in there again. Like I was panicking. Like I was, and because, and I still will, it'll show up sometimes in dreams, like it'll be somehow in part of the plot, or like in the way. And what's weird is because I've had so many nightmares my whole life, and I had night terrors when I was younger, and like I have a really yeah,
that's awful.
Yeah, and yeah, it is. And like I can lucid dream really well. Like it was a technique that was taught to me when I was younger, and I was having a lot of night terrors.
Tell me about it was by a wizard that taught you.
No, by a doctor. And like and I'm really good at doing that, but something about this maze, I can't lucid dream like in it or around it. And sometimes I'll like be lucid dreaming, and when I come across the maze and I'm like, oh, this is a dream, I can just fly over it, but I can't. Like I can't actually like control any of the things that happen in the dream around or centered around that maze. They're really bad nightmares.
Ariel, I know what the problem is.
What?
Your mind is saying maze, and you think labyrinth. Corn.
I hate you.
You're misinterpreting the word, and so your dream becomes about the wrong thing, when in fact you're trying to dream about corn, and your brain just hears it phonetically, but it's picking the wrong word. Yeah.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
So, and then Aaron asked, actually, while you're describing this, because I was thinking, do I have like any recurring dreams? And I really don't. But
I have a bunch. That's the one that bothers me the most. But I have a bunch actually that recur.
Yeah, and I rarely do, but like if there's one that I have more often than others, and this is still like once every like year or two. Corn maze. If one every like year or two. It is about teeth falling out.
Oh, I have the dream all the time.
See, and it's a really awful one.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm like running away from something, and whatever I'm running, like the ground is falling behind me.
Oh yeah, you can't, or like you stop being able to move, like you can't go quickly enough.
Yeah, and it just keeps going. I have to constantly move, and the ground is falling, or like I'm way high in the air on like these monkey bars for whatever reason, like hundreds of miles above the, and not hundreds. That's way too high. That's in space. Yeah. Say I don't know, 50 miles above. And I'm going, and as I'm going on the monkey bars, the ones behind me are just falling off. So I'm constantly just in pursuit of not dying because something behind me. So and that's the dream. Those two dreams, if I do have a nightmare, it's basically one of those two things, but it's still super uncommon for me. Once to maybe twice a year.
I used to think that the reason I had teeth falling out dreams was because like when I was having really bad nightmares like years ago when I was having like, night terrors, I clamped my jaw a lot and I cracked 2 teeth. The 2 crowns I have in my mouth are because of clamping my teeth, and I broke a tooth like really badly, and I had to get a crown. And then I didn't realize until many years later I'd also cracked the one underneath it, and now it's until I had to get a root canal and a kind of actually last year. And so that was many years of like mouth pain associated with nightmares. And so I used to think that like if I'm having a dream with my teeth falling out, which I have a lot, is because something's happening and I've like clamped my jaw shut.
Yeah. Do those dreams happen when you're sick, John? I don't know if there's necessarily a correlation. There very well could be. I know like when I'm sick, my dreams are actually a little bit more vivid, but I feel as if it's just, I'm day-to-day kind of thing. I wake up, after having the dream and go to work, and I'm just like, I feel kind of like, crummy all day because it infiltrated the brain. And it just sort of sits there for a little bit. You know what
I get when I'm sick or if I'm having problems breathing? I have dreams about like suffocating or drowning. Or
that's true.
Being
actually,
in a place where I cannot breathe correctly.
I've had those kind of dreams.
I have those actually a lot because I don't because I have a really badly deviated septum and I have like just congestion that'll happen sometimes. And if I'm laying on my back, like it'll congest and like the pressure will push down on the only side of my nose I can really breathe through.
Yeah, I hate dreams where you can't breathe. Just wake up like choking on air. Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have dreams like that. Yeah. That's the most common kind of nightmare that I have is not being able to breathe.
And no discernible triggers that I can think of. I don't believe I've ever been able to make a correlation between like these dreams and something that's happening or that I'm focused on. I can't ever think of anything that instigates those thoughts. Because, I think I had talked to Michelle, and teeth falling out is like the sign of like either letting something go or growing older or something weird like that. I can't remember. She helped analyze a bunch of junk, but I don't remember.
I have naked dreams a lot. Where like I'm out in public and something happens and then I have no clothes on. And I'm like desperately trying to cover my lady bits because I feel just like exposed and uncomfortable. And, like normally, like right away, like the nudity doesn't bother me, but then like people start to show up or like I have to go to like a work meeting or something and I have no clothing.
What's weird is the only dream I've had about being naked like that was when I was like 5. And I was at like some sort of like outdoor like mall or like public area. And I had my favorite blue like Oshkosh Bagosh coat on. And it was like blue corduroy on the outside with a hood. And the inside was like wool. So it was like super duper warm. And that's all that I had on. And some lady came up to me and she says, you shouldn't dress like that, and that's the only thing I remember from that. And I hated it because my little tiny 5-year-old pee-pee was hanging out.
No, I have naked dreams a lot actually. A lot of times they take place in water. It like I'll be like in a pool or like in a very public place. No, the naked one.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, like in a very public place, like a public pool or something, and then suddenly I have no clothing on, and like when I'm in the water, I can kind of hide it, but then I have to get out of the water for some reason, and I'm like I can't cover like myself.
I thought it was like naked, like in a board meeting or something like that.
That's happened too. Okay, like it's always like very much in public. Like if I end up naked in a dream and it's like scary, it's because I'm naked in public.
Aaron says teeth fear of change, and that's okay. Maybe that's what Michelle told me, or maybe Aaron's lying to me. I don't know. I trust the dude, but like, arm's length, man. Let's see. I was about to ask if people wanted tea, then immediately disappointed that I couldn't pass the tea through the computer. I appreciate it.
This mug has a cat's face on it.
I have lemonade tea, which is lemonade, but
this is like echinacea because I've had a cold.
Yeah, so. I think that's what's so amazing about dreams, since it can pull up such little details from long ago. Yeah, dreams are incredible. They can really like reach deep. They can reach into like the entire history of your brain and be like, oh, remember when you were 2 and you didn't remember this, but here it is. And it's like, what? Yeah.
It's like I read somewhere, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like that when you're dreaming, it's your brain converting like your short-term memory into your long-term memory. Something like that. No idea. Like that. It has something to do with like memory and storage, like in your brain. Like that's what dreaming is. Like it's memories of some kind, which is why a lot of the things that that are happening directly around you come into your dreams.
The human brain can only hold up to 6 bytes of memory, so it's like less than like a single letter on a WordPad file.
What? I don't know.
Well, I think it's like 10 million terabytes. I don't know. It's some ridiculous number. I'm just
probably not really like quantifiable in a way that we know.
Terabytes.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not a neuroscientist.
It could be.
The most I ever so when I was working on my thesis in graduate school, I talked to a lot of like the neuroscience majors and the grad students and PhD students at NMSU because I was doing stuff about like language and how we learn and like in what part of our brain primary language and secondary languages are stored, and that's the only thing I know about like neurological stuff at all. Like,
Aaron says 1 gigabyte.
I hate you both.
Oh shoot. Okay. I don't know. I know like the podcast now it's interesting because normally we have our friend Michelle who I started the podcast with, and she's currently on hiatus, taking care of a bunch of other stuff, and so now it's us with our own sort of flavor to it. But still, we want to address it. 2.5 gallons. There you go. Yeah, I think if your head's really big, 3 gallons of information. It's probably a fluid limit depending on neural structure patterns, frequency of the activation, the types of inhibitory neural hormones present.
So there's a limit. There's a cap.
Ultimately, yeah.
Well, I think, and that was what I, in some way, what I was learning even when I was doing my thesis is like there's a limit to how much you can learn of a certain thing before it has to like be overriding some other information in your memory. And
also situationally, so while there's probably a limit, it likely changes from moment to moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, for it to be fluid, I think it makes a lot more sense.
And isn't that like what the
the brain uses metric?
Commonly
liters.
Yeah. The commonly like misunderstood thing about when people talk about IQ is that it's not like how smart you are, but like how much storage space your brain has. And I know it's arbitrary, like it's not a very good measurement of things, but I think that was what it was intended to be, like your capacity to learn and not how much you actually know.
See, I can't learn in terms of memorization that well, but I'm intuitive when it comes to just like messing around until I figure it out. I can usually do that pretty quickly. Yeah, but I can't memorize very well.
I don't think it means memorization. I think learning looks like a lot of different things. Looks like problem solving and critical thinking.
Looks like a banana dipped into like a vat of Vaseline.
Yeah, mostly that.
Mostly 98%.
IQ is such a clusterfuck of a subject.
It really is.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I seem to remember like when I was younger, my grandfather used to always tell me that like your IQ was the size of your bottle, and the people had different sized bottles, and when he used to always tell me when it came to learning things, and I don't know if this is really accurate anymore, but he obviously was old, so that's his idea. It was like how much you put in the bottle is up to you.
Sure.
And somebody who has a smaller bottle can have more liquid in it than you, and they're going to be smarter than you, but you have the capacity to fill your bottle up. But just because you don't do it, or just because you do or don't do it, doesn't mean you aren't smarter than someone else.
Sure.
And that was his like the way in which he described that to me as a kid, and I've always like thought of it like that. But I don't know how accurate that is.
Joel from Media Glitch says, "What's up, kiddos?" I love Joel. One of the greatest people on the planet.
Yeah.
One of the best people I know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of good people. I think I'm very fortunate to have like such a good collection of people like that.
I know so many wonderful, wonderful human beings.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky for that.
I also am very lucky. I'm luckier.
No.
It's a contest and I'm winning.
This is what we always do to each other.
Oh, 2-1. I win.
I'm almost out of tea. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Feel it.
Yep.
Feel it through the...
People get so wrapped. Aaron says winning, and I'm sorry to say that I beat you 2-1.
All right, Charlie Sheen.
People get so wrapped up in it, but like smart people are fairly common, but good people are equally uncommon. So I think people put way too much importance on a poorly understood concept like IQ.
Correct. I don't really care, about that sort of thing. I'd rather you be a good person.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil's tea. Perfect. Thanks. Now I'm blushing. You're pretty awesome as well. Not so bad. Joel and I got to get together soon and actually do some more video game stuff. Because now that I'm starting to stream again, this is my first time streaming. And
yeah. I was watching
6
RuPaul.
months. Yeah, you're watching RuPaul, and I was playing Skyrim.
Yeah, I was supporting
getting killed by
Chicks in the Town
dragons.
in
That's
my-
true. You have
queens on my shirt.
queen bees.
Yeah.
It's cute.
And bees on my pants.
She's into bees. Like the way that I am into a lot of things. Mega Man. You're into bees.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I love bees.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really, I think I talked about this. I had a really spiritual moment, and it had to do with a bee. And that's really stuck with me over the years. Like one of those big realizations in my life. And I was in my parents' backyard, and a bee was flying around, and it landed in my hand. And I just sat there and I looked at it because I'm really allergic to bees. And I had this moment where my instinct was smash it, kill it. And then I sat there and I thought, and I saw it in my hand, and it just was walking around, and it was being really cute. And it was just, it wasn't going to hurt me. And I realized there's something about being a human being. And part of, I think, a lot of the mistakes we make come from the lack of dire consequence for our actions. If that bee were to sting me, it would die. If I were to harm it, nothing would happen to me.
Yeah.
I would be fine. I don't have to think about consequence prior to a decision that would harm or even take the life away from someone else. Whereas if a bee is going to choose to sting you, it's at an immense sacrifice. It is at the expense of its own life.
Right.
And any decision that it makes is because of that. And that's why it wasn't going to hurt me because it didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And it just was walking around in my hands, and I saw it, and I was like, I need to be a better human. I had this massive, understanding, sort of spiritual understanding in that moment that was what we are and what we have and how we relate to things around us is very powerful, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joel also adds, I had one of those spiritual moments with a bee as well. It was a boo bee, but still. That's how you know we're friends.
Bad.
Nope.
No, that's bad.
No, it's very good. He also says Media Glitch is going fast. He's down. What's the deal with bees? Asks Aaron. Also, there's a 3-hour critique of Skyrim if you feel like investing way too much time into some randos thought on Bethesda and game design.
You probably do.
Oh, absolutely. That's the kind of thing I like to put on while I'm doing something, working or, art or, cleaning the house, put it on the background so I can listen to it. Or at the gym, even. Yeah. The Bee Movie.
No.
What's the deal with me?
No.
Because Jerry Seinfeld's the bee, get it?
That's a bad movie.
Have you seen it?
Bees. Yeah. It's weird.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's weird. I love bees.
So there's this really interesting phenomenon, and this is just a testament to how interesting people are in when things become mimetic for whatever weird reason, whatever it is that triggers something to go viral or mimetic at all. Mm-hmm. It fascinates me because what is the magic formula? There's none. It just it's arbitrary whether or not it catches on. And for some reason people are doing this thing where they're writing the entire script of the Bee Movie on things or in things or I don't know, on the little tiniest pieces of paper or in video games or just if you look it up, it's very bizarre. It's a very strange phenom. Yeah, I don't get it, but it's funny because people they choose to do something and they follow through, they commit, and then they finish, and then for some reason other people go, oh, that's funny, and then they do it, and it becomes this widespread why. It's a total waste of time that people do, and I like it. I like it because it is not productive, but I like the fact
people do a lot of things that are not productive.
But if you're creating yourself, then you're producing, you're establishing yourself more by saying this is what I have now done, even if it's following in the footsteps or pioneering.
I don't have
I love that
executive function to be able to do something like that.
To write the
I have
movie
a hard enough
on a grain of rice,
doing things that I like or that I need to do.
Yeah,
because so this is something that happens a lot, and it's getting better because I'm so far into not having constant seizures. But when I'm having seizures all the time, I have really bad executive dysfunction. I can't start tasks. I can't do things. I don't know how to explain that. Either what the sensation feels like, other than you're sort of waiting for the right time, and there's not one, and that. But, there's in times where I'm having really bad seizures, it's impossibly hard
Yeah,
to
I can only
shower or
imagine.
to eat.
Just to do anything, to initiate.
Yeah, and much less things that I like to do or want to do. I can't
Uh-huh.
do them either. Like there's like I
Okay.
can't like start a task. And once I start the task, it's fine. Like it just goes. But
Yeah.
like, getting started
Sure.
is this weird hang up in my mind.
Whenever I want to play Mario Party, I never want to start playing Mario Party, but by the time I start playing, I'm like, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
I can relate to you on that level.
Yeah, that's fair.
See, that's sort of.
But I think like because I have that problem that happens sometimes where it's hard for me to start.
I understand that completely.
I can't fathom spending your time doing something completely useless because there are things I absolutely need to do that I struggle to do.
But what if this? Okay, so when you were telling me this story just now, like about like the seizures and like how hard it is to initiate. I was absolutely listening, and it's a very interesting and serious thing. But then this comment came: some guy in my class got suspended for plagiarism by copy and pasting the B-movie script and turning it as an essay, and I was trying not to laugh. But that's funny to me. Also, memetics is mind-blowing. It's the exact same process as evolution, so the environmental pressures that result in something going viral are hard to predict and identify. It's fascinating. Yeah.
So I do have my like what are called like I don't know what they're called. There's like this kind of seizure that I have actually all the time, and I'm probably never going to be seizure free of that. Is there's a name for it, and I don't remember it now. I said it a bunch in like
you've told me many times, but yeah,
when I got had the official diagnosis with my doctor even, and it comes in the form of like muscle spasms. Where like something not like a muscle spasm that nobody else has, but like the muscles like firing constantly. And the big one that if you've known me for a while, you've probably heard happens in my vocal cords, where I have a kind of seizure that causes my vocal cords to like pulse and like push air through them, and it makes like a weird little like a grunting, humming kind of noise. Yeah,
and it's basically all. It's very subtle. It's very.
And it's like I'm having a seizure that's causing like weird firing in my vocal cords. I have one that happens in my knee, and I have one that happens in my hand. And when I was little, I had two different ones, and they thought that they were like some kind of nervous tic. I did this thing, and then when I was in elementary school, where I'd go all the time, like I'd pull my mouth open, and I could not stop it. Like I couldn't stop doing that. I would just like widely open my mouth, and I used to blink all the time. I still blink a lot, like I like uncontrollably will like just blink.
I had a friend who also had that kind of little tick
when I was
as well
in
too.
kindergarten. Like people made fun of me. They called me Blinky all the time because I would just like I couldn't like stop my eyes from blinking.
That's the name of a Pac-Man ghost.
Well, the more you know. So yeah, I can't remember what they're called. There's a name for that kind of seizure, where it just like. Because I have one of my really good friend's sisters also has epilepsy, and she has this kind of seizure as well. And hers happens like in her neck, and it'll like pull her neck back, like, and she just can't stop doing that, which is a lot more dangerous than the ones that I have, which are thankfully not that kind of thing.
God damn it, that sounds remarkably similar to the shit that happens to me. You should probably go see a neurologist. So
the good thing is, for the most part, it's not harmful, and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm on a shitload of medication for epilepsy because I also have grand mal seizures, petit mal seizures. I have what are called partial complex seizures categorized by secondary generalization. Like I got epilepsy, but when we worry about like medicating my seizures or trying to get them to stop, we don't worry about these little ones because they're like it's like chasing something you'll never catch.
And not like the light sensitive.
No, epilepsy. I don't have photosensitive epilepsy. Yeah. Not at all. And that's also what sucks about like having really bad epilepsy that isn't photosensitive is society thinks that that flashing lights
that's the epilepsy.
Is epilepsy. Yeah. When it's actually a really small number of people who have epilepsy, and most people who have epilepsy don't have obvious triggers. Like there's not something that's clear that causes it. A lot of people think it's possibly stress that or like what my neurologist was really like keen on a few years ago was what was happening was that like if in a period of like severe stress or anxiety, my body can cope with it all the way through. And then it's that time when I start to relax afterwards that my brain starts to misfire like really, really badly. Because the very first time I had a grand mal seizure that we know of, I was in the shower.
Right.
And I was like, I had been stressed, but I had been like trying to relax, and then boom. Or a lot of them will happen like when I'm trying to go to bed, or like when I'm trying to do something to calm down, or if like something's been really like stressful and then I sit and then like we'll go into having some kind of seizure. So it's in the theory for a long time, and I think at this point it's not really relevant. We're just trying to make it stop. Was that it was in periods of time of like severe stress, and that lull afterwards is where the seizures would happen.
But you have the executive function impairment while they're happening a lot.
Yes. So like in periods of time where I am having a lot of seizures, and so like this time last year, I wasn't seizure free. I was having seizures a lot, and then the summer, prior to that, like 2 years ago, when I relapsed, I was having like grand mal seizures every day. Like it's sometimes more than once a day, and like I was really, really sick. And during that period of time, I couldn't do anything. Like I could not make my brain and my body like want to do things. It was like the foggiest, most like stressful, difficult time. Yeah.
But what's excellent is you are currently like 163 days seizure free.
Yeah, I'm in remission officially March 1st.
Yep, we're basically at the tail end of it, almost 6 months straight without one.
Yeah.
So I'm proud.
So it's pretty
very excited. Yeah, absolutely.
I can get my driver's license back.
Yeah, you get to drive a car again.
Yeah, and I can start working again, which is actually a really big one, because I think people don't realize how easy it is for people to find loopholes in not employing you and not giving you disability pay.
Right.
Yeah. Because technically no one can discriminate against you because you have epilepsy, but they find other sort of like reasons about it. And the big one actually a lot of the times is you're considered a liability if you have epilepsy, but because they can't not hire you for that reason, a lot of times what they'll do is say, well, because you can't drive, you don't have a reliable way to get here, and we need you to have a reliable way to get here, so we can't hire you. And really they're not hiring you because you have epilepsy, but they're trying to call it something else.
Right.
And because legally they can't discriminate against you for having epilepsy, the government doesn't want to pay disability to people with epilepsy.
Right. Messy.
So that's where I've been at.
Can I just say I love the haircut?
Thank you.
It looks. You look. I mean, we've had this discussion of you went from Bayonetta 1 to Bayonetta 2.
Yeah.
Yep. So looks terrific. It looks absolutely.
It's nice. It's much easier to shower now.
Yeah, like it's a much faster process.
Yeah.
Yep, my boss and I are constantly fighting over little crap that he does to cut benefits or not pay people as much. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, people look for all of the possible legal loopholes. And I remember having a conversation around this time last year, actually, with my neurologist, where he was saying the number of homeless people in the state of New Mexico who have neurological disorders is just like disastrously high, because the state finds ways to not have to help them because technically they can't be discriminated against, etc. But they also can't work and they can't function, and they need to be on disability, but the state finds ways not to give them that, and they end up homeless. And then it's just like it's a frightening number of people. And it wasn't fun to then go home and hear from my father about how lucky I am that I had a place to stay and wasn't homeless. Because but that shouldn't be. Yeah, I don't know.
Listens quietly to 20s Union folk music.
Correct.
Yeah, basically. And Joel says, I've never heard her talk this much. And it's true. I mean, because most of the time when we're out and about, you're not like a not vocal person, but you're a little more reserved, we'll say.
If I have nothing to say, I don't
That's true.
say anything.
And here where we're having sort of active dialogue. Yeah.
And I also am a lot quieter around people I don't know as well. I think trying to sort of feel out the kind of...
For all we know, this is a bunch of AIs talking to us, and I'm the only real person here. Yeah.
I'm talking to Greta Grimlin.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Yeah, she is. Look at those lips.
She has green.
She has
and
better
purple
eyelashes than me, too.
She has pretty nice eyelashes.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
She glues them on.
Yeah. I think she's born with them, because, they mutate. She mutated boobs.
Right, because she was just a regular gremlin.
Until she took the hormone pill, or syringe. Yeah. Yeah. He's on to us. Scatter. So a bunch of cockroaches go everywhere. Yeah. It's the people in great atmosphere that helps.
Absolutely.
I honestly, you change your environment, you sort of change your surroundings, you change by moving in. We've really sort of undergone like a focus on sort of maintaining a certain,
kind of
peace and demeanor and like presence and setting and sanctuary here. That is a safe place. That is an okay place to be. Because it was last August. Was the last one that we had. It was a fairly big one. And I know there's a lot of stress going on, just sort of like, home life and, just sort of in general. I don't even think it was like a major instigated issue, but it was just like a consistent kind of stress. And so
I was worked up about like talking about some things.
That's true too.
Because that was when I was trying to tell you about my Me Too, and I was you were very worked up about it.
Right.
Because in my previous experience, a lot of people hadn't been particularly like accepting of it, and it was something I needed you to know, but I was just unsure of like what the reaction was going to be, and I was really scared.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But what I'm so proud of as well too is like after that happened, and after you're no longer holding things in, you were really sort of had relinquished a lot of like those poisons, just because I think
That's
they were.
a good way to say it,
Since then, there have actually been several incidents which have been arguably bigger spikes.
Yeah, around
but
Christmas.
you've still taken care of them. You still handled them, and you've been fine. You've done well. You've like been.
I worked really hard at it, and there were some moments where like also to get that fog, that really bad migraine, because I have migraines which are part of all of this, and like they tend to go together.
Sure.
And like I've had migraines in the past 6 months, but I haven't had any seizures. Like I've really tried to keep myself, when I have those, I go take my medicine, I lay down, I sit down, or like I will either read or I'll scroll through something like on the news, like to try to keep my brain active, but like calm or distracted from whatever it is that's bothering me. And it's been working, so
I'm proud. Happy to hear that. Every party I throw, she's always so quiet. She talks wonderfully and should seriously think about doing more streaming. And I think so too. This is why I like having you on this stream. And despite the fact that you sat over there for like 10 episodes.
I've been replaced by a drawing of David Bowie.
Yeah. Now you're over here and you're sort of at the forefront. And
a very good drawing of David Bowie.
Oh,
you can't see him. There he is.
Yay! I think I like having you on the show, and I like having you as a very prominent part of it. And ultimately, I'd still like to do streaming with you, because what I did about 2 hours before this podcast was I was streaming me playing games for a little bit, which I'm going to start doing regularly while she and her friend Becca watch RuPaul.
That's an important part of my week.
Because it gives them, a chance to sort of hang out, do their thing, and, have their time, and it gives me a chance to actually come in here, sit down, and do my thing. But I also think we should sort of do like a tandem stream where we do play video games and we do discuss things and we do have conversations, and maybe we can talk existentialism of our philosophy, or simply objective, Mario's kicking something in the face. Like it's exciting to sort of get an extra viewpoint. And when I'm streaming by myself, it's fine, but I'm usually like sort of trying to respond to things in the chat while I'm streaming.
Whereas like someone can,
and if somebody's not chatting, I just talk to myself, and sometimes it's not good. But no, it's fine. But with having like an active dialogue going on while playing games too, I think that's also a lot of fun.
Yeah,
especially playing games with you, because we also talk during those anyway. I think
talk too much.
No, you don't.
Because sometimes I'm talking about something it's made me think of, and I'm all over, and then you're like, "There's a cutscene. Can you shut up?"
Well, I've never said that, but I'll pause the cutscene.
No, you look at me. You're like, "Are you done?"
I'll pause the cutscene because I don't. Video gaming to me is a very certain type of experience in which almost like cinema is. And I don't think this is any fault of yours, but because the cats interrupt, or phone calls, or various things will pop up and sort of disrupt it. But interrupting the flow of like a gaming scenario or situation honestly throws off the balance of the experience for me, whether it's a movie or a video game. And but I mean, it's just as much if we're doing something and then suddenly the cats start killing each other. It's kind of like, come on,
somebody starts being
this fun, vital
5 feet away from
cutscene,
TV and she starts screaming.
Yeah, like it becomes, I want to have like a very solid, situation. And you're not to blame for that. Sometimes you go to the bathroom. Sometimes a phone call comes up. Sometimes, like there's our things.
Yeah. No, I always know when like it seems like you're getting annoyed, and I try to curb it, but I'm me, so it's not always easy. Like something's happened, I'm thinking about something, I'm talking, and then I miss something, and then you just give me this look. like, did you catch that? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You were talking. Just, whoom. That happens.
That does happen. That's okay. Unless you play just to make fun of the game, in which case, of course, that's totally fine. We've also just been playing a lot of stuff that is very solid and experiential, big story-driven games, Yakuza, Metal Gear, Shadow of the Colossus, and soon Bayonetta 1 and 2, which, oh my god, I'm so excited to play through again, because that's...
I feel like in every aspect of media that I enjoy, I like good story, like really good books, really good like movies with good plot, or like really solid, and then the games that you've shown me, the ones I like more, I think are the ones that have really like cohesive storytelling.
Like Mario Kart?
No.
You don't like the story of Mario Kart?
What story is Mario Kart?
Mario has to take first place. Or he doesn't get the 3 stars. Or whoever you choose to play as. It's their story.
Okay.
I mean, that's the plot. That's the objective, right? To get first place?
Yeah, that's the objective. I don't think it's really a story-driven game.
Driven, yeah.
Shut
Oh
up.
boy,
I
oh
hate
boy,
you.
oh boy. All right. But what's fun too is, I mean, the idea that philosophy exists in everything is really
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, Mario Kart should get a Nobel Prize. I think it's one of the games that has successfully destroyed and brought people together in the most incredible of ways by crafting such a strong narrative that's interpersonal to the player exclusively.
Okay.
But I even have like some books in the other room that are like Breaking Bad in philosophy, Final Fantasy in philosophy, Legend of Zelda in philosophy, like media experiences in philosophy. And you can look at like these sort of philosophies that are sort of intertwined into the tropes of all these different scenarios and characters. And, in one Final Fantasy, you might have Kuja, who's, simply like, is he inherently bad? He has motivations that are harmful to people, but what ultimately is his underlying purpose? What about Garland's underlying purpose? What about the whatever the hell the thing is at the very end that you see, the Zero monster or whatever? Mm-hmm. They all have like these philosophical like concepts about them. Mm-hmm. And then conversely, right now we're battling with Kefka, who's just this chaotically evil thing with no rhyme or reason, and he simply wants power.
I think he has reason. I think he just wants to be powerful, and there's something very human about that. There's something very realistic about wanting power.
And simply at the expense, what can you do to make yourself bigger and better? And it doesn't matter how you get there. And so we're sort of like learning about all these kinds of things, and it's really fun to go through and see what is Ganon's, what is Link's, what is Zelda's, the characters, the hero's journey, or there's all these different, things that go into, Kafka said this, or, Kant said this, or Plato. And they sort of branch out to all these things, and all these concepts that we see in video games and movies and books and shows have like this sort of like stemming nature where somebody way before us discussed it in such a way that it like extends. And it's, I don't know, it's really cool to sit there, and even like the most innocuous seeming game, Mario Kart probably has some sort of philosophy you could read into, like genuinely.
Well, what I think is Mario Kart, I can't believe I'm responding to this, I think is like, it's a reflection of the like what you put into the game, and the story actually exists in the room with the people playing, and they make their story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
true. Yeah, you have the.
It's about interpersonal experiences.
Correct. Or if you're playing by yourself and you're just cursing at the controller and the TV because you're bad.
That's me.
Stop suggesting you can think about the crap we consume, you damn libtard.
Correct.
It's fair. Hey, it's Ray. Glad to see you guys. It's good to see you too. Absolutely. And sorry, I've been so I haven't responded to a lot of people's messages. Oh my god.
It's just been a really rough couple of weeks.
It's been
a lot going on.
Yeah. Catch up with the podcast and with both of you at some point, LOL. Yes, absolutely. We do need to do that. Check out Grand Theft Auto Pacifist for a good hit of that conjoining and gameplay philosophy.
We always play games as pacifists. That's what we do.
You
don't.
Hold on.
Okay, so John got Skyrim, and John was telling me how he plays as a good character, like what I always want to do anytime we play a game. I don't want to kill people. I don't want to, I want to play pacifist. And then he's like, I play as a good guy. I'm a good character. And then he's killing people, and he's stealing things, and he's like, I'm a good person. I have a code. And I'm like, bitch, no, you don't.
I do actually have a very specific code. I kill only what my boss tells me to, who happens to be the leader of the Assassin's Guild, or the Thieves Guild when necessary.
See, and those justifications pile up, and you're not a good person. You're a murderer and a thief, and you just shout at animals and throw them off cliffs.
That's fine.
No, it's not. I wouldn't do
that. Wolf would bite. The goat would bite me. The mountain goat might bite me.
No.
He's going to eat my shoes.
No, he's not.
On my cans.
You're going to make there's always going to be, this is very human. There's always a justification. Humans do shitty things, and they find ways to say that that's okay. Ways to justify doing bad things.
Listen.
What?
In all fairness, in most games, I actually do really try to do the right thing whenever possible.
That's why I said that the first time.
I know,
and
it's fair. In Skyrim is one where I like to think of myself as I don't want to just chaotically kill people, but I do kill people under the pretenses of, does the quest line want me to? And it's like, okay, fine, I guess for the quest. So yeah, I do. But if there's a game that doesn't require me to kill people, I generally don't want to.
Yeah.
Even Metal Gear.
Yeah,
Metal Gear we've been doing as pacifist as we can possibly go.
We got Peace Walker on the last one. It was called that, right? On number 4. Well, our title at the end was.
Oh yeah, because we can kill anybody.
It was called Peace Walker.
Yeah, we can kill a single person in the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw you drop a chicken off a cliff. Oh yeah. Well,
see.
In all
I saw you drop yourself off a cliff because you were trying to throw a potato away.
All right, hold on.
It's an accurate thing.
The chicken was already dead. I can do whatever I want with it after it's already dead.
Oh, okay. I can do whatever I want with it after it's already dead, said every horrible person ever.
I'm not going to, like, put it on my body. I'm just saying I'm going to, like, I'll toss it off a bridge and, like, no, it's okay. In Skyrim, nobody cares.
Maybe they should.
Assassin's Creed is out. I liked Assassin's Creed a lot. That was a really interesting game. And I really liked the flow of it for the first couple. Then I sort of got burnt out, which is kind of a shame because, I don't know, they just started piling up and I lost interest, unfortunately. But those were really neat games, and they do require you to kill an awful lot of people because you're an assassin. And unfortunately, there's no getting around it. So, but like if the game's narrative like requires me to, then I'll do what it takes to like flow through the game properly. But if a game generally gives me options in which I don't have to, I like trying not to, if possible. The problem with the Assassin's Guild is because, and this is also shitty justification, there's so many perks to being a good assassin with all the crap that they give you that it's like, all right, you know? Like, if I gotta kill a couple dudes to get, like, this super sneaky armor, I'm gonna do it.
I'm not. And so Ray says she's gonna be in Albuquerque soon. Yeah, we want to see
good.
them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. The second Black Flag. See, Black Flag is actually where I stopped, which makes me sad because I liked what I had played, and I just sort of finished it up. But Assassin's Creed 2 is also fantastic. Fantastic game.
I don't like killing things.
You would like killing these people.
No. You know, I think I didn't mind you playing Doom, even though you're just ripping things apart, is because they're like monsters, they're like demons. Excuse me.
So hold on, let me ask you.
And I think when I think about it, it bothers me. But like when I was just watching you play it, I was sort of okay with that, I guess.
Were you okay? So I'm killing monsters, I'm ripping them in half, I'm yanking their skulls out, I'm tearing their spines apart. What if
they're not bad guys?
What if this is simply a man who's on some sort of like visual high where everything appears as chaotic and awful and evil, and he's just running through. Yeah, this is basically it's a story of like just some guy in like Ohio who ate a bunch of bath salts, thought he was in hell and Mars, and started ripping things into pieces.
You just found the actual story of Doom, and that's the lesson we're supposed to learn about that. Just don't.
Because contextually it looks like it's okay. That doesn't mean it's actually okay. Because
we talked about this actually when we were playing the
perception
game.
Was okay.
Was that like what would it feel like? What do all of those creatures that you're shooting in Metroid feel like when Samus shows up? Until like in the game, which one was it? Where there's the bad Samus that's like following you around. And how
Fusion.
Just unsettling and unnerving that was.
The moment that you're hunted.
When you're hunted, and you realize like that's what you're feeling is what all of those other creatures that you're killing are feeling.
That's true.
Like you are always the bad guy in somebody's good guy story, and if they're the bad guy to you, you're the bad guy to them.
That's true. Think of how many Goombas just want to go home and kiss their wives, and Mario just smashes their guts.
Remember when I thought that they were called Goombas?
Goomba. Yeah, that was cute.
I genuinely thought that's what they were called.
The best part of Assassin's Creed is sneaky creative murder. It's really, actually, a really neat game. And being in the Souls of an Assassin is really interesting because they do very much paint the picture of, oh, you're the good guy. Here, go ahead and do this because you got to eliminate the bad guys. And then at the beginning of one of the games,
you realize you're not the good guy.
At the beginning of one of the games, you're playing as like this other assassin. He's going through, he's killing a bunch of dudes, and then by the time like his little like prologue chapter closes, you realize you're actually playing as the bad guys you've been fighting for all these other games initially, and you're like, what do they do?
Yeah,
and it's a really great narrative.
It's really easy to swap that perspective and then realize that some actions are never acceptable because you're the bad guy. Yeah, it's
really neat. It's a very, very cool.
So it's like that slippery slope where we can justify bad behavior because we think we're the good guys and we're in the right, like we're righteously justified, and we never are because that makes you the bad guy.
Yeah. I accidentally stepped on an ant. Like a billion times.
I don't kill bugs.
I probably accidentally killed.
I mean, yeah, but even like when there were all those crazy like black and red bugs that had like crazy mating season and 4,000 babies.
Oh yeah, I don't kill them.
Like I would like try to step around them on the way to the trash can because I didn't want to step on them. Like I try not to kill things.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I don't want to do that. Sounds like a typical Saturday. Let's see. Yusuke says he misses you too. Hello, Yusuke. I miss him a lot. Konnichiwa. It's probably daytime in Japan over there. So, which I guess makes sense because it's nighttime over here.
You know, I remember you ate ants once, they were in the Raisin Bran, and you ate them.
That's correct. There was one evening, no, it was a morning, and I went to pour myself a bowl of cereal, and I guess like I had like an ant problem at the time, and this is the last bit of cereal milk that I had. So I poured the cereal into the bowl, and then poured my milk, and I looked in and realized there were ants in it, and I was like, I'm so hungry, I don't care, and I just ate them because I didn't want to waste
Protein.
it. Yeah, it was fine.
Ants are
They
edible.
didn't taste like anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't taste it. It's all just the idea of like, oh, these are in here, rather than I would notice or it affects me.
Yeah.
It's simply an observation, and you get upset at the observation rather than the actualities. The actualities you don't notice.
Yeah. So he says, Vonnegut's Mother Night is the penultimate book on human good and evil. I think that's a good.
I'll have to check that out.
Vonnegut has a way of writing that I need to be like in the right mood to digest.
Mm-hmm.
There's like
that's fair.
There's a taste. There's a flavor.
It's like a metallic, like
maybe
like chewing on foil.
Oh no, that's bad. So this is not related, but whatever. Like when I was
welcome to this show. Don't worry.
I was living by myself in Las Cruces, and I had gotten cats, and I had at the time just an obscene amount of plants in my house.
Yeah.
Because I really like plants, and that might eventually happen here, and I'm sorry, but that's who I am. And
there's like 40 of them sitting off to the side right over here. That's fine. Yeah. There's literally just a whole room of plants right here. Don't apologize.
It's what it is. But I had read online that like a good way to get your cats to not try and eat your plants was like to wrap parts of them, like the base of them, and like the thing in foil. And you know what? I came home and Miles had like pulled the foil off and was playing with it and chewing on it, and like they're like, oh, cats won't bite foil. Cats won't bite. Bullshit.
Well, that's also Miles. He's like this anomaly in terms of cat behavior.
And they would like knock the plants over to get the foil to fall off, and then they'd play with them. And
there was some statistic about how people swallow spiders in our sleep. So we invariably kill spiders.
I read somewhere that was like an old wives' tale.
Oh, I'm sure like at some point you do it at least once.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say it's like X amount per
like when
year.
you're talking, then it goes in your mouth and like
never happened to me, luckily.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, I've heard the stories of that as well too.
Yeah.
But
and he can be very gruff. I think another author who writes very good books, but that I sometimes struggle with like the tone of reading is like Chuck Palahniuk, or however you say that last name.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has a way of writing that like a kind of flavor that like I really need to be in the right like headspace to read. And I've read a good number of his books, and they're just gritty, and I don't know. He has a tone that is not, I think, maybe to my taste sometimes.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. You can not like all of an author's works. An author you like.
We wrap our plants in tissue paper for gift bags, and it works really well. Our cats would just rip it off. Because we had, I brought the bag home, like the presents that Becca got me for my birthday, and there's a bunch of tissue paper in it, and they just ripped it to shreds. They pulled it out and they play with it, and because they like the sound it makes when they kick at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chuck has a weird omniscient quality to his prose that can be unsettling.
Yeah, it's really unsettling.
That's fair.
There's a way that he writes that is very, off-putting maybe isn't the right way to say it, but unsettling.
I was looking for this NES controller.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, it's about time, I think, for us to start wrapping up. But I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. And I know we weren't like as focused on a specific set subject, but again, the nature of this podcast is sometimes it's very pertinent, sometimes it's very direct, sometimes it's an issue that I'm having directly, or you might have directly, or Michelle has had directly. And sometimes it's, or sometimes we address some an audience member's issue directly, but sometimes it's just free-form conversation, just talking with people and, throwing out our input and 2 cents. And maybe it's philosophical, maybe it's not at all, maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not. It's just, that's the nature of the show is simply to exist and for us to be able to talk and enjoy people. And I think that's sort of my favorite thing to do. Love you guys very, very much.
Very much.
Absolutely.
Like, this was really nice actually to talk to everybody. It felt good. I think I needed that even.
Yeah. And this is the thing is, I've talked to Michelle about this. I think you've even been here on days where I've said this. Like, there's some nights where I just feel like I'm too tired to do the podcast. I don't feel like doing it. I've had a long day. I kind of just want to relax. But every time I do it, I feel better. I feel like I'm connecting with people in the way that I want to constantly be connecting with people, with you, with Michelle, with everybody who joins us. It's really an active, like, very good. It's communal. Good chatting with you folks and hearing your thoughts. Had a fun time. Hope you both have a wonderful evening. You do the same. I'll be announcing more streaming that I'm going to start doing. I want to do it at least twice a week. Thursday nights for sure while you do your RuPaul thing. and then maybe like, I don't know, a Tuesday afternoon or something. I'm still trying to figure it all out, but I want to make sure it's going to be consistent and not just sort of like a whenever. We'll figure that out as it comes. But Thursday nights at the very least for this podcast, as well as streaming.
It's a smiley.
Use an emoji. Yeah, that's really.
It's like a big square job.
Yeah, I don't like it. Okay. Anyway, thank you, every single one of you. Oh, this sad emoji showed up.
It looks angry from a distance, like because it's red on the top.
Oh yeah, it kind of does. All right. Thank you so much, Joel. Stay good. We'll talk to you soon, and let's correspond about getting something together. Media Glitch, GA Retros, something. We'll do some sort of cross promotion for each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys, every single one of you, and we hope to see you next week, same time, 9:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah.
Also go to podbean.com/ I don't know. Podbean.com will allow you to find the Blue Lady podcast as well as iTunes, which we have it on now as well. You can look for it there. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week. Until then.
Bye.
Bye.